Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Suzerain with Flash Talisman. Right, where are we? Bentley Festival, I think that's coming up next. Another event that always happens. A storage riser. If anybody's ever not had this happen to them, let me know in the comments, because I'd like to know. A motorcade slowly made its way towards the magnificent Bentley High Arts Centre. Night was falling and the festival was about to begin. I flicked through the brochure that had been given to us at the hotel. On the front page was a face of Curtinless, the Mayor of Enrica. He was a Bentley native, had a long-standing relationship with the city's current mayor, and personally invited to make tonight's opening speech. The Bentley Festival was one of the biggest events of the year. It originally marked the start of the annual religious pilgrimage, a weeks-long journey still undertaken by devout neurists, but today it was better known as a cultural celebration that drew thousands of revellers to the city. There were film screenings, concerts, theatre and and dance performances, art exhibitions and celebrities stood in nightly galas. The opening ceremonies were broadcast on TV and watched by millions. As cars slowed at Coterie, excuse my inability to be able to say that word, of reporters and security guards rushed to meet us. I turned my attention to Monica, who must still hate me. Since I refused to let her make the opening speech, her attitude towards me had changed. She now only spoke to me if I asked her a question or if it was something important concerning the children. Oh dear. Yeah, that's not going well, is it? Oh well. Will you ever forgive me? I told you my reasons. I know, I understand. It's just going to take me some time. It's fair enough, you can't argue with that, can you? She clearly did not want to pursue this topic any further. As Serge opened the door, we were enveloped by the roar of the crowd. The next few minutes were a blur of handshakes, photos and reporters' questions. The onlookers cheered as we walked the red carpet to the newly built art centre. We followed the guards through the cavernous white halls until we came to a set of arched doors leading to the auditorium. We waited outside as security did a quick sweep of the area, then headed in. I'd been asked to make a quick set of remarks introducing Curtin Lester. I beckoned Monica to join me on the podium. I'm going to find my seat. Oh dear. Monica brushed past me, took her seat at the front and crossed her arms. I walked alone to the podium. I spoke for just a minute, reading a paragraph of my speech where I churned out about the importance of the festival and benefits of Sordland. I concluded by inviting Curtin Lester, Mayor of Enrica, to the podium. I stepped down and joined Monica in the front where her arms were still folded. Oh dear. Welcome to the first day of the Bentley Festival. He paused for a moment to let the crowd cheer. His eyes briefly met mine. Nod. This is the night for the people of Bentley, indeed for the people of Sordland, to put aside the differences and come together in celebration. Yet as we unite for the festivities, we must remember the real reason why we are gathered here. The crowd fell silent. The people were giving their full attention to what he had to say. This festival was founded around the principles of our cherished religion, Neurity, and just for a reminder, Neurity is a monotheistic religion teaching that there is only one creator, the divine God, and that Saint Dust is a divine messenger. It is the biggest religion in Mercopia and the third largest in the world. Neurists believe that the divine God revealed the divine intent through Saint Das on Dissension Day. As their divine messenger, Saint Das began his lifelong journey of spreading the message of the divine across the land, together with his 30 disciples. Okay, there's a lot of thought gone into that, an awful lot of thought. Over the years, it has been severed from its sacred roots and become something else, something more perverse. Oh blimey, here we go. An excuse for public drunkenness and grotesque displays of the flesh. Heavens to Murgatroyd, he's angry. An occasion for young women to parade their bodies and engage in lascivious behaviour. As he went on, I could see Mona becoming increasingly agitated. I'm not surprised. What the hell is he talking about, lascivious behaviour? What century does he think we live in? Pretend not to hear it. I don't know, just let it be. Monica turned back to watch his speech, a frown on her face. Perversion hidden under the guise of art is not benefiting the beautiful city of... The crowd was becoming restless. Many of the younger attendees were murmuring in disagreement, while a few of the older ones were nodding vigorously. Curtainless. As I said, perversion hidden under the guise of art is not to be enough. The hall fell silent. Monica rose and continued. Oh, great. Miss Lester, it is not young women who are the disgrace to this fine festival, but you and your backwards puritanical attitudes, which have been holding this country back for far too long. Monica, sit down. You're making a fool of yourself. Watch the events unfold. Ooh, bearing in mind, it's still a male-dominated society. Ooh, pardon me, I'll make. Monica, please sit down. No, I will not sit down this time. Oh dear. Monica turned to face the audience, speak loud enough to be heard without a microphone. Women of Sudden, we must not let people like Miss Lester use religion as a justification to demean and oppress us. Our time has come. Shocked gasps ran through the crowd. A few people rose to applaud, and rose and applauded. Curtainless waited to speak. I think Mrs. Rayne is forgetting her place. Ooh, ouch. What do you think my place is, Mr. Lester? The kitchen. This festival is not about your retro traditions. We are living in modern times like it is 1954. And it isn't your place to decide how the people of Bounty, especially the women, should be celebrating their own their own festival. Monica, that's enough. What do you mean enough? I've barely even started. I looked at the podium and to see Curtainless piercing gaze on me. There will be surely a price to pay for this. Miss Curtainless, Mr. President, could you please control your wife before she embarrasses herself any further? Well, we've been over this. Is not the time. Please sit down. We've been over this. Is not the time. Please sit down, please. The crowd was an uproar. I had to lean over to catch Monica's next words. I am so sorry, Auntie. Next time I'll stay in the kitchen. Oh dear. She sat back down, seething. Curtain's voice filled the hall. Therefore, there's always been a bit of culture, tradition and religion. Many battles have been fought over this precious city. Army after army tried to claim it for their own, but we fought back and we won each time. We are sending thanks to strong men who were able to protect their families, their lands and their way of living. Every day I praise God we have succeeded so far. Scattered applause broke out from the older members of the audience. I leaned over to Monica. I praise God he's allowed to speak for another 2 minutes. Priest and the politician. Monica said nothing, a gaze fixed forward. Yet the traditions that form the fabric of our society are being tested even as I speak. He looked pointedly at Monica. We must stay true to our values so that Sordland can prevail, so Bentley can prevail. With these at the forefront, I am convinced that Sordland will continue to be the greatest nation in the world. Guy's a lunatic. I invite you, every single one of you, to celebrate our ancestral, our roots and our traditions in this holy Bentley festival. I hereby declare the festival open. Praise God, praise Sordland, praise Bentley. I'm Morgan West Corner. Vector and just down. Most of the people in the hall finished a decades-old saying, including me. Monica's lip moved, but she didn't say the words out loud. He exited the stage as the band took up the official festival anthem. I spent the rest of the evening alternately watching the festivities and conversing with local politicians. By the time I got back to the hotel, I was exhausted. But thanks to the festival still raging outside, and the sound of Monica tossing and turning beside me, I couldn't sleep at all. That's don't make me sleep on the sofa. Yeah, that's the price we're going to pay for that later. See what the paper said about it. Video politics. Welland deploying special forces to Vernon. President Smollett has announced that the city of Vernon has been put on a curfew along with several other towns in the northwest east of the country. The Weathercom have deployed specially trained military forces to combat militant organisation known as the Bloody Freedom Front. Welland has increased its efforts in fighting terrorism. The aerial campaigns and ground operations targeting BFF militants and their hidden bases. This operation will surely have consequences for the regions, particularly for the neighbouring countries of Lesbia, Rumberg and particular Sordland, which has a large population of Bloodish people living in its borders. Oof, that's not going to go well for us. What's their military like as a matter of interest? Oh no, not to this last episode. Week. Right, let's have a quick scoot about, see what you've got to say. Reports from our borders that from the Wessex city of Vernon show that there have been 1,000 people running away from military forces towards the Swedish border. protests and casualties continue in the region of August. The police reports that the violence have minimised and the situation under control. Estoril police force reports several militants have been hiding amongst protesters and have been watching closely. Where are we? Any more things to read? Nope. Downtime at home. It's like a return since Spain Festival. Had it really been only less than 24 hours? I was at home now drinking afternoon tea on the balcony. A stack of newspapers lay by my side. I picked it up one by one, rereading articles about the festival. Some paid newspapers were merciless against Monica for interrupting Curtin during his speech. A few even called for her to be barred on political matters. Others expressed their support. In any event, I realised that the incident hadn't reflected too badly on me. That's not so bad then. I put the last newspaper down as Monica joined me on the balcony. So you've seen the news. Do not reply. You shouldn't have spoken out. You shouldn't have spoken out. Believe me, my hands are tied. Here I have it. Oh, so that didn't come up then. Here I have it memorised. First Lady disgraced, no support from her husband. Believe me, my hands were tied. Anton, how could you? First you deny me the opportunity to speak at the festival, then you let that dinosaur less make a mockery of me and my cause. She grabbed the top newspaper from the stack and started reading it out loud. With a shameful outburst at Enrica Mayor Curtin last, First Lady Monica Rayne once again proved that politics is best an area best left to gentlemen. With the President providing no support, her challenge to us was quickly defeated. The President provided no support. What did she want me to do? You can't even stand less, and you took his side while making me look like a fool. She started ripping the newspaper to shreds. After all these years by your side, playing the doting wife, you know my mother's right about you. I thought you were clearly capable of turning yourself clear. Not what's supposed to mean. Yes, well, I've got that one. Just tell me why. Why couldn't you just have said something? Sometimes you have to make sacrifice for the good of the country. You've got to learn that if you want to enter into politics. Why do you sacrifice that to me? Never mind, you had your reasons. There's a brief silence. There's another chance, you know, for you to show your real support. Perhaps the festival wasn't the proper forum to air my views on women's rights. I still need to do this, Anton. So she tears into me and then goes, actually, yeah, you were right. Oh my God. I want to officially adopt this course as First Lady, to actually get involved in politics, not just give impromptu speeches. I can even help your education minister with those reforms she was working on. And this is something you're passionate about as well. Can I count on you? Yeah. Of course, I'm looking forward to working closely together. Yeah, go on. I went on this meant so much to me. Shook me tightly and I felt some of the past tensions melt away. Thank you. Nurse came from the balcony door. She turned out to see Diana standing there. Mama, I'm hungry. Let's go to the kitchen, baby. We'll make Papa the best snack ever. Yeah. They left the balcony and returned half an hour later with a large cookie. Diana had written her naming icing on it. Oh, that's nice. As I sipped a cup of coffee and nibbled my cookie, I thought I'd made the right choice, and so do I. Things are going to get hard, but at least my life at home was somewhat peaceful. That's ominous. Right, Marital troubles in the Marine Palace. Past is speculation, not worth reading. Yeah, we've just had that kind of symbolised for us. So let's just that is allocation. Well, that's a tackle. That's not a tackle straight away. Let's duck from that one. Minister of Stats, along with the Minister of Economy, that Central Bank delivered a preliminary economic status report detailing the recession is deepening, the financial system is heading towards a potential collapse if we don't take serious action. Again, what serious action though? Again, I think a lot of these events will happen irrespective of what you do, they will happen. Preparations began in earlier Air Force Base to expand hangars and restructure security of the airbase to welcome occasion planes in the short future. Occasion security and logistics professionals have already been welcomed to the base to work with soldier officials. New approval ratings showing that we have landed below 25% presidential approval rating. Our administration's performance has been widely requested by the diverse poll taken by 1,000 representatives from all regions of Sordland. Going well then, is it? Yes, we'll do this first. Carl Greiser arrived for a meeting to discuss a new police force. After leaving informed of his arrival, Lucian opened the door and let him in. Hello, Mr. President, Mr. Gallo, what a sunny day, isn't it? Though that subject is beautiful indeed, clear sky and sunshine made the scenery look lively. I could even hear the birds chirping from the palace garden. Good to see you, Carl. How have you been? It's been okay. We've tackled many security issues, but we still seem to some to go through. More importantly, the situation in the country is much more stable, allowing people to return to their normal life. Please have a seat. We don't need to feel uncomfortable. I'm used to being uncomfortable. He took a seat and corrected his posture. We have been informed of the establishment of the anti-corruption police force under the Ministry of Justice. Indeed so. Minister Morgner, that's a completely different thing that is. Minister Morgner had given me full authority to lead a new force in order to fight corruption from within. It's in his regular letters lie. It is a very powerful force, one that didn't exist in Sordland before. The structure has been separated from the interior, helps maintain perspective and independence from previous hierarchies. I want to make it absolutely clear, my belief in you as leader is unquestionable. Minister Morgner, though not as inspiring as you are, has also shown great capability. The more I work with her, the more I'm convinced that she is very motivated and efficient administrator. She takes work personally. Her motivations to fight corruption are real. Yeah. Thanks to the resource division and thanks to the resource diversion to a ministry, these objectives can now be met. Justice will indeed be served. Carl leaned close and lowered his voice ever so slightly. There are elements in the last state that have ulterior motives. Elaborate, please. Most frankly, sir, of course. There are some very powerful deep state forces inside the administration. Our investigative knowledge has become, but certain links we have discovered are troubling. Mr. Hawke has financial and other ties to certain figures. He is a dangerous man. Currently, we are collecting evidence to find out exactly what his network compromises. We always suspected the existence of such a deep state. The real question is who in government and cabinet is on Mr. Hawke's side. Don't poke the bear when you are elected to fight and maintain low-key operations. I guess Minister Morgan is on our side on this. He really wants to tackle corruption. We need to find out who has ulterior motives and root them out of the administration. Thank you, sir. I will be relentless that the adversaries of this country will be found. The most important subject is here is the old guard establishment. They pose a real threat to us. Once enough evidence is gathered, we should be able to begin the corruption trials if we want to. Hawke and the rest of the guard in the Supreme Court won't be able to prosecute at all. Won't be able to be prosecuted at all. This means we can't cut the head off a snake, but we will be able to strangle everyone around them. Besides them, there are some other elements we are aware of. The oligarchs seem to have some people on the inside as well. We have received some uncomfortable reports about Mr. Tusk having bought people in the administration. And they seem to be evading taxes through bribery and exploitation in the grey areas of the law. Investigators in Esord and Narble have also found some suspicious financial activity from some of their corporations. If their tax returns were able to be made public, would help us track irregularities in the filings. We could look further into Tusk and Lothberg Group. If that is a desire, we can certainly inquire about their operations. Marcel Conrotte and the Haas have a strong presence in the media and many other industries. There are some patterns we have observed that are unusual. It really seems they have a powerful influence in the majority of the so-called independent news organisations, that they might not be so independent after all. Marcel offered me a deal, Marcel offered me a deal before and needs to be investigated. Yeah, go on. Let's go after everybody. We certainly can. I wish we had proof of the incident. It would help us in a case against him. Carl sighed. Last but not least, the oppositionalist Friends Rector. We have received intelligence as connections in Arcasia. Upon further inquiries, we can't say anything legal about it here besides the mismatch in information. The guards must have pushed this forward. We shouldn't even consider moving on the reformist leader in our position. We shouldn't move against him. Let's have some dirt on him. We should look deeper. Yeah, we should move against him. There are so many potential corruption cases here. Therefore, we need to pick a faction to focus on. We can't investigate everyone within the remainder of this term and come up with a thorough, compelling case. The most logical step would be to use the ACP to pressure either the oligarchs or the old guard. We should concentrate on our armed countries. Ooh, that's a tough one. I always go with this one, but I'm thinking maybe that one as well. Oh, that's a tough one. Who to go after? Let's go with this one. Because they're the ones that most threat to us. Yes, we'll focus on research and investigation into the old guard. Well, it has been decided that should conclude the meeting. Good day and good luck. Good day, sir. Carl and Lucian left the ring. Okay, more news to read. Yep. We know about that. Marvellous news. Oh, down here. Military. To determine the current situation of the military and its spending policy, we had held a meeting in the White Room. Peter, Vulcan and Isef were seated. So, he's Minister, he's Chief of the Armed Forces. General Vulcan, Miss Lance, let's start the briefing. Very well, Mr. Vice President. We've had a briefing to convey the further details about the current situation of our military. First off, we've received an updated communication from the KC Military Command. Their planes are being moved into Illo Air Base as we speak, under our supervision, of course. Make them do your best to make them feel at home. Looked at each other. Kruger will try our best. Let's move on to our military. Which branch would you like to know more about? What situation in the army? Current latest reports from Captain Strongarm. Currently we field 6 armies totaling approximately 400,000 active troops, which is a good amount. The real issue we are having is the quality, not the quantity. What's the current equipment status? Our army is quite outdated by today's military standards. Most of our equipment is 20 years old. To make up for our lack of modern military equipment, we resort to a large number of soldiers, which is not really a long-term solution. No, because if we ain't got the equipment, you're just throwing bodies at bullets. I've been trying hard to reduce the negative effects of this problem. We don't need a modernisation programme. A standardised purchase of lacking equipment would do. We need further funding towards expanding the military size, otherwise our army will be seen as weak. Where exactly is our army deployed right now? The 1st Army is stationed at Lesbia and Welland borders to protect the way into the central regions of Sordland. The 2nd Army, our strongest army, is situated by the Wumberg border. The 2nd Army has a large mountain commander force and is best equipped because they are facing Wumberg. The 3rd Army is near the Agnolian border and coastal areas facing Vagsland. Due to our bitter past, we generally keep a coastal defence force, although many years ago the decimation of our fleet is still not forgotten. Adri compared to other armies, Wumberg fields 6 armies stand at amount to 6 million soldiers. Lesbia 5 armies with about 800,000 soldiers. Vagsland fields 1 army with about 140,000 soldiers. Welland field an army mounted about 100,000 soldiers. Agnolia fields 2 armies with about 200,000 soldiers. The sheer size of Wumberg's armies because they're forced conscription laws. Due to their massive gold reserves, they're able to afford it. On the other hand, the Lesbian army is the most advanced, followed by Vagslandian. Both of these countries put a lot of money into modernising their military. I'm curious about the other branches. Very well. Navy. Our Navy consists of 59 ships with a total of 60,000 sailors and support staff. As you know, these ships are commanded from our main naval base in Conriat, where the flagship SS Renan is docked. How do our Navy compare to others? Navy is dwarfed by the size of the Icelandic Navy, which is 194 ships, and Agnolian Navy is 84 ships. Even if with Agnolia we're still colossally outgunned by Vagsland. We only surpass Lesbia in terms of Navy, as they have less than 30 ships. That's a surprise. As you see, the situation is dire, but the situation is not just more ships. To make a truly better Navy, we need to equip our ships with modern radar sonar systems. More outdated ships wouldn't mean much. Fair point. What seas does our Navy currently patrol? We're patrolling the American Sea, the Grey Strait, and Sea. Our Navy protocol protects all of our coastal regions. However, to make sure we're not thinning out our defences, we prioritise certain regions over others like Greater Holsword. We often patrol the routes that are close to the shipping lanes, especially American Sea and the Grey Strait. The amount of cargo that goes through that area is eye-opening. Another thing to note is, after the takeover of Helgoland, where our Navy has led incursion operations for Magnolia, we also take part in some joint naval drills as well. Let's hear about other branches of the armed forces. Which one? We've got the Air Force left, don't we? Our Air Force currently has 410 planes in infantry, out of which only 140 are jet planes, and that are not in great condition. We have 30,000 pilots and support staff working in the Air Force, and they are commanded from the Mark Air Force Base in Illinois. What are our operational capabilities? Our planes can bomb targets within 400 km radius of the airfield. They have medium and semi-effective nighttime bombing capabilities. At any time we can field 7 air wings composing of a total of 130 aircraft that can operate in combat duty. This is enough to subdue most targets. In terms of our bomb capabilities, we have an average of 100 metres of precision. This is not great, but still within an effective radius of the bombs. How experienced are our pilots? Our pilots have average experience. They have a total of 450 hours flight time with their aircraft before they are qualified, which gives them more than enough time to get used to it. This is low compared to 1,000 to 1,500 hours at other countries like Acacia, United Continental, Lesbian and Vaxland. Normally the hours pilots should be high, but due to the lack of funds we can't increase training times. Fuel costs are rather high. How does our force compare with other military branches? The Air Force is trained as an independent tactical support branch, which means it assists other branches but doesn't collaborate. It still causes issues like friendly fire, missed close air support opportunities. There are ways to improve collaboration with joint operation rooms, something to think about surely. Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, well, so anything you want to know about? Actually, let's move on. Let's see, clear this throat. Thank you for keeping your promises, and I know that I won't ever forget your great deed. Hopefully the allocated money will help our defence needs. The increase of the military budgets for national security is threatened by the vulnerable of the nations. Military is the top priority for administration, and so as people hold it in high esteem. Fetch work with yourself. I want to build a... yeah. Likewise. Whether that has any effect on, I don't know. Seek your right decision. I knew I could trust you. We should move on to spending choice. Yeah. I want to hear your suggestions. Decreasing military leaves us with big questions about how to utilise it. There's a lot of debate in the military which has resulted in two factions of thought. The first faction is in favour of enlarging the armed forces by enlisting more men, or the second faction is in favour of purchasing better equipment instead. What is the argument for increasing the size? Some of our neighbours have larger populations and thus a larger armed force. Using funds to boost our size would minimise their advantage. Theoretically, numbers alone don't determine the strength balance. Enlisting more social armed forces could also minimise the unemployment issue. A vast is my preference. It's already large enough. I don't think quality should be focused on. We can't have an overwhelming large enemy of Umbrig without numbers. What is the argument for purchasing better equipment? The armed forces are behind in terms of military equipment comparison to our neighbours. We need a fundamental modernisation programme. No matter how many advanced weapon systems we buy, our enemies can overcome them. Vulcan has had a serious down. That sounds bleak. Quality over quantity. This is clear. The only real disadvantage is the one we have in numbers, not equipment. The era of large assaults and the human ways tactics are over. We're heading to a modern era of combat that requires modern tools to adapt. I've settled on a decision. A decision is interest of all. I don't know, because I really don't know. I've always gone this route. I've always gone this way because it makes more sense. But this time, because I've not done this one before, I'm going to go with making the army bigger. It's unfortunate, but as you command. Thank you for that choice. The expansion will begin right away. Will that be all for today then? Dismissed. I'd like to extend my thanks for your attendance. The meeting concluded as the sun sets over the concrete jungle. That was Sword. Okay, that wasn't as bad. Yeah, I'm trying to make different decisions as we go through. We've got okay. The Ministry's report, education is reporting massive overhaul to the education system is progressing slower than expected. Only a few schools in Sordland will collaborate in reduction of arts taught in citizenship, solarism and national subjects. Significant efforts are being made to lessen political indoctrination in education, but with resistance. Other changes which are supposed to happen in the curriculum to do basically. They're refusing to do what they're told. Is that what that summarized? I've not had one before. So we've got trade talks with them, or we got trade talks with Welland down here. Which one do we do first, I wonder? That's a massively good question. News: major military expansion. As announced, ambitious military expansion to increase the deterrence of the Southern against neighbours. Sundry forces have already begun opening enlistment and increasing the conscription pool is expected. Military will need double its capacity rather than the regional powers. And nearby enemies want to airface the large military might of Sordland. Dozens of officers have been assigned to task to prepare organisation expansion. Pays expansion changes. Okay. Chairman Leon Malanev addressed. Basically, we've got put another satellite up. Okay, alright. Let's do Agnolia first. Trade talks with Sordland. One's fight to hold sword to Stalport took 3 hours but went very smoothly. We were about to touch down. David left his seat and came while Simon was enjoying his newspaper. Looks like we're about to land, Mr. President. I looked outside, I could see Helgeland, this island, the island in between Vagsland and Agnolia. So many conflicts over a small piece of land, the island can barely sustain itself without outside help. I know, I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, it's let people die, fight for it. No, I wonder if it was worth it. I suspect it was one of those topics that Mr. Van Houten will bring up as a bargaining chip. We must be careful. As it might be under control of Agnolia, but the international community is set to recognise it for good reason too. Nobody wants to make an enemy of Vagsland, especially because of the support of United Contana and the CSP. I don't care who we're against, we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah. We should try to look at the bigger picture. Simon folded his paper, got up from his seat and sat right next to us. Aside from the point of Helgeland, we need to be careful with the additional requests. According to the deal we've negotiated so far, they want to sell us their steel at a higher price, and they requested easier access to our agricultural market. In return, they're promising cash flow investments, especially in the Agland region. It's not hard to guess why. Precisely, Agnolian immigrants into our Agland region make up for a good chunk of society's economy now. During the initial negotiations, they have brought up the topic of immigration many times. The fact they have relaxed our immigration rules will help us tremendously. Let's see if we can shake hands on it. The pilot made an announcement that descent had started. David and Simon went back to their seats. I took another look outside the window. I could Stalport, the capital city of Agnolia. Large docklands of the city and the canals appear closer as the descent continued. Stalport was certainly a fitting name due to Stalmini Canal. A couple minutes later, we finally touched down. The plane parked. I took a final look out from the window. A welcoming ceremony from Agnolia was waiting along the vertical carpet outside. After the guys made their way out, I exited the plane. Wave at the crowd. Prime Minister Van Houten was nowhere in sight. Instead, I was greeted by the Foreign Minister. That's a bit rude. After handshakes and a couple of photos, I moved to the car where Serge was waiting to make our way to the office of the Prime Minister. Good day, sir. I hope the flight was comfortable. Yes, it was. Thank you, Serge. I got in the car, made our way through the foreign streets. Our convoy was protected by Swedish Agnolian guards in their vehicles. We began driving by the highway. We began driving by the highway beside the port. I saw dozens of dockyards and ships anchored. Some of the ships and machinery looked old. The city itself looked very grey and grim. The buildings had a touch of Lundberg's famous monarchian architecture and a mix of Swedish signature domes on the older ones. We were now on the main road to the offices of the Prime Minister. Looks like they're not very happy to see you, sir. Serge pointed at the crowd gathered on the side of both sides of the street. It was a protest, and they were shouting and yelling at our convoy. Some of them held up signs written in Swedish. Sordland must pay its debts to Agnolia. You know, I never knew Agnolians were so ungrateful. Not everyone sees a great leader like you every day. So ungrateful, yeah, go on, I don't care. I know what it is. They've always been scared of Sordland's pretension. Now they're afraid of a lion leads Sordland. They are afraid of you. The convoy started to slowing down. We've arrived, sir. The car continued through the gates while the security vehicles went the other way. We finally came to a stop at the front door. Serge left the car and opened the car door. I exited and began walking to the door where dozens of press and the Prime Minister were waiting for me. I saw the PM much more clearly as I neared the door. He was shorter than I thought. Mr. President, welcome to Agnolia and to the beautiful city of Stelport. Not what we saw coming in, mate. Reached out for a handshake. The press surrounding as I've been waiting for this moment. Over Paris handshake. Shake hands and hug afterwards. The press went wild and took more pictures. He gestured to the entrance of the 200-year-old Parliament building. This way, please. We entered and the press followed us inside. I'd like to present you with a gift as a sign of our friendship between our countries. An assistant showed up immediately with a large glass box in her hands. It was contained a single parchment inside. This here is one of the first treaties written between Sordland and Agnolia. May it mark the renewal of our friendship today as well. I hope so too. Our photos were taken. I gestured on my retainer as he was holding our gift to the PM. Bad puppy. It's not known fear of dogs. Yeah, got that one. Excellent copy. I always wondered what the originals looked like. Thank you for this excellent gift. The cameras flashed once again. Let's go to my office. Follow me. I followed him and we entered the office of the Prime Minister. It was a room, wooden minimalist decoration. It was formal, modest and unexpected. We sat down and we leaned back and made ourselves comfortable. Shish. Thankfully done with the ceremonies. Are you not fond of these ceremonies? I think they're a waste of time, but alas, that is one of our jobs. He got from his chair, moved to the bar. There were many varieties of liquor. Would you like a drink, Mr. Rayne? Magnolia vodka. You know your drink. He poured his drinks, gave me mine before sitting down again. Let's get straight to business. Let's get straight to business. First of all, I'd like to say that I've been watching a recent change in immigration policy. I'm glad that you've decided to keep it relaxed. Immigrants are very important for the beneficial economic development. We believe that very much in Agnolia. It is reassuring to see Sordland move into a more modern direction. Thank you. He took a sip from his vodka. So tell me, Mr. Is Sordland reliable to provide a port to Agnolia? Not if you keep acting like you have the upper hand. As long as Agnolia is a relied and trading partner, I can assure you we are. Van Heaton leaned back in further contemplation. Are you going to talk all day about pasties, or are you going to sign this deal? Let's change the course of our nations. First of all, if we shake hands at this agreement, it's going to be really beneficial to both of us. You should be able to solve your recession in no time with investment money flow coming from us. This is, as you know, on top of reduced tariffs for trade in between both countries. Of course, in return, as discussed between our people and your people before, we will allow privileged access to your agricultural market. You will be buying steel from us at a high price, which is a small price to pay. This is a deal. Say Mr. Rayne, accept. Excellent. Before we dive into paper tutorial, I want to offer another possibility. I'd like to expand our newly formed partnership. We have regional forces like Rumburg that have been imposing danger on both our countries. I'm in mind that we must unite. So, by military advice bestowed in me as Prime Minister of Agnolia, I'm offering military alliance between Sordland and Agnolia. What do you think? I accept. This is excellent here. Our ministers will go over the details later. Now that we've gone this far, we are willing to enter an alliance, so there's another topic I'd like to bring up. As you know, Helgeland has been long contested between Agnolia and Vexland. Those warmongers want to take back the island. You know that the island international community does not recognise our right for claiming the island, including Sordland. What better act to cement our alliance than announcing to the world that Sordland recognises Helgeland to be Agnolian territory? You're asking too much. It is understandable that, but I won't push too much on that matter. We've achieved enough for today. Well then. So from his chair, we continue the official programme. As you know, we will pay a visit to our founders' graves for another ceremony. After we will move to state dinner. After you. As soon as we left the office, I briefed Sam David on the outcome of the meeting. The rest of the state trip was full of fake smiles, handshakes, incredibly long ceremonies, even longer meetings between our ministers and their counterparts. When we came to the end of our trip, the way back was mostly silent. I couldn't help let out a few sigh of relief when we touched down the whole sword. It's time to discuss the good news. Okay. Budget's gone down by one, but... Right. Yeah, let's go here. Go rested. Okay, fine. Sort that out. I've got that one to do next. Okay. Sordland and Agnolia enter alliance. Sordland has entered a military alliance with Agnolia, along with a new trader with two countries can effect on Thursday. Okay. Geopolitics. New alliance in Eastern Macapia. Results of a recent visit. President Rayne and Prime Minister Van Houten have made a joint announcement that Sordland and Agnolia will enter an alliance. Ever change the landscape of Eastern Macapia is about to change again. But it's been certainly fruitful for Sordland so far. Good. Yep. Playing with fire. That's a concern. That drags us into a war with. If that drags into a war with Vexland, that's the only concern. But anyway. Okay. Now this one. Let's tackle this one. Let's go on this one. This is trade talks with the President of Welland. Sordland once flight from Hulst to Vaklovitz took approximately 5 hours despite heavy turbulence. I managed to sleep little. Along with Simon and David, we landed at the international airport of the capital city of Welland. Our aim was to finalise a trade deal drafted in between Sordland and Welland. Shortly after our plane landed, the door opened and the sun blinded me for a moment. I stepped outside. I saw soldiers lying on either side of the red carpet. There must have been at least 100 soldiers. The marching band started playing, and the soldiers immediately saluted me. I proceeded to recall without any gestures. I'm not sitting back to soldiers. At the bottom of the stairs, Victor Smalek was waiting next to a military jeep and a few soldiers by his side. There were a few reporters on the side waiting with their cameras. He was a tall man, almost as tall as me. He was wearing large sunglasses and the tie of a regular suit. He was wearing large sunglasses and his attire was a regular suit, contrasting with the military attire of everyone else in the field. Mr. was welcome to Vaklovitz. Immediately motion from base. He hugged and many cameras went off at the same time. He turned around for a couple of additional poses. Thank you for inviting us. Now that the passengers are done, let's go. We'll take the jeep for a tour. With another tune from the marching band, we boarded the military jeep. He sat in the driver's seat and I sat next to him. As we started speeding up, the soldier saluted and the victim saluted back. That says everything about what's going on here. Do nothing. My security detail executed follows immediately along with a team of reporters. We will first go to the city centre to see the opening of a statue. Otherwise, whose statue? It's mine, of course. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I can't tell you everything that's going on here, don't it, really? We kept making small talk about the flight and the weather until we started making our way into We kept making small talk about the flight and the weather until we started making our way into the city centre. Yeah. On almost every corner there were some reports taking photos. Oddly enough, every single street that we took seemed completely empty. As well, it always is empty. I had the locals close down the business because of your visit, so you could enjoy the city more. Again, that tells you everything you need to know. He made everybody close because I was coming. There we are. We arrived at the city. In the middle of a large plaza there was a covered statue. Lots of people had gathered behind the fences and were waving their Sordland and Welland flags. Victor waved back at them. My people have been very supportive of this visit, Miss Bell. I'm sure that you are delighted to see. A man came close to the fence and started yelling at Victor. With my limited knowledge of the Wessex language, I understood the words Victor and murderer. Almost instantly, two soldiers showed up from behind the man, and he was taken away. Frankly, the sun is up. Today will be a good day for the reveal. I see that you know how to handle distance very good. What will happen to that man who was protesting you? Oh, which man? That one in the crowd? Oh, don't worry about the details. It must have been a troubled fellow. Let's focus on the event. We took our places in front of the statue. With a drum roll, the statue of Victor Smollett was uncovered. The statue was done pretty well, except he was made more masculine. He was wearing a cloak and holding a sword in his hand. Excellent statue, very lifelike. What do you think? I don't have time for these games. Let's get straight to the business. Yeah, don't worry, we will. Join me for a walk. Yeah, this guy is completely used to doing whatever he wants. And following through the streets, every corner, more and more photos were taken. We stopped in front of a pastry vendor on the street. Give me 2 strudels. The man from behind us stands smiling over 2 strudels. Pay the street vendor. I bought my wallet and brought out some money to give the vendor. Hold up, your money doesn't count here. I got this. He handed the money to the street vendor. The cameras flashed again. Everything's a big photo opportunity. This is all about making him look better. This is President Wessex. He's Commander-in-Chief of the Wessex Armed Forces. He is known for his commitment to Wessex nationalism with socialist characteristics. He is the 3rd person to rule after the departure of Arcasian troops in the aftermath of the Welland Civil War. He was the leader of the National Neurist Alliance in Welland up until 1940, which heavily promoted Wessex nationalism and Neurist traditionalism. After the failures of his previous post-war presidents in lifting the country out of the economic recession, he formed his own political party. So I've just headbutted my mic then. Sorry. I've lost my train of that. Which combined religious Neurist politics with Wessex nationalism and socialism. During his first years as president, he oppressed and persecuted most of his opposition, censored the press, and seized all the assets of the millionaires. As a staunch anti-Arcasian, blamed the royals, liberals and Democrats for the Civil War and the subsequent Arcasian invasion. Despite being anti-Malinierist, before the Civil War, he brought Welland closer to the United Kingdom, which helped him bring the country out of recession. So basically, the bottom line is that he's friends with them. Right, so that means we've got Wurmberg on one side, who are just completely on their own. We've got this here are the communists, who've got they're the big local communist country for the United Kingdom superpower. Down here we've got Lesbia, who are the big local country for the Acadian ATO. Acadia, we've got this down here, who are borderline communist. Okay. And considering we're in bed with Acadia instead of letting them use our country for fighter jets, it's kind of it kind of gives an indication where this conversation could be heading. Afterwards, we walked a short distance to the palace. Passing the gates of the palace, we made our way into the main building, made from ivory-coloured stone. The old guard towers flanked the magnificent main building from both sides. The inside of the palace was very spacious, with a large chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Grand staircases made from the same ivory stone had red carpets on them. Both sides to the upper levels, guards stood with traditional outfits of the old Wessex kingdoms. We finally reached the office of the President of Welland. The doors closed behind us. Interior bracelet, gold ornaments on the walls, ivory colours and various jewels attached to artifacts of old. As custom well, we sat down on the carpet. Can we talk now? We can talk about the trade deal. Finally. Before that, he clapped his hand twice. Bring the kisha. A few sisters immediately entered the room carrying a large ornamented kisha, a well-known smoking instrument originated from Welland. They immediately lit it up, and the room filled with the smell of tobacco. He held a smoke and handed me the kisha. I don't smoke. Your loss. This is vice tobacco on the land. He took another puff, filling the room with more smoke. So, Mr. President, bad, too long. Can I call you Anton? Sure, whatever. Anton, tell me what you really think about Wurmberg. They are threatening to be dealt with. They can go to hell, not particular. They're a threat that needs to be dealt with. I agree with your sentiments, Anton. They are a threat to everyone in the region. I assure you, their time will come. Are you planning something? No. Well, how do you know that time's going to come then? Not yet. Okay. For now, I have something else in mind. I'm listening. He clapped his hands twice. Two assistants came in with a map of the border regions of Welland and Sordland. He pointed at the border. Look. Bloods and their so-called BFF are causing problems for me in this region. I know that they are causing problems for you as well. I will not allow these traitors to exist in my border, so I will hit them with all the might of Welland. These traitors need to be destroyed. I call it Operation Bear Trap. I don't support military action so close to our borders. He lay back in a large pillar behind him. Here's the deal. I'll give you the best trade deal in the region. You will give me your assistance in crushing the terrorists on both sides of the borders. I won't meddle in Welland's military interventions. This is not Welland's problem. This is also Sordland's problem. These terrorists are doing anything they can to destabilise the region. My spies infiltrated BFF cells and found caches of KA-47 of KA-74s. We trace them back to Wurmberg. It's alone justifies my retaliation to protect my country. Worst of all, we also found similar shipments going to Sordland. I know, we found them as well. Yes, and you see, this is not just a Welland problem. Let's take a step back and talk about what you will get in return. I propose that you get no tariff agreement, co-investment projects and oil. In return, you will assist me in destroying the terrorists in my country. This might have international ramifications. To hell with international ramifications. I'll protect my country. I don't care what they say. What I want from you in return is for all the money and the resources a joint operation between our armies against the BFF. Don't think about it. No deal, it's too risky. I'm afraid I can't accept. Well, Anton, wait. Normally I wouldn't offer anything else, but I like you. Here's my final offer. When the operation starts, with or without you, there will be strugglers trying to cross into Sordland. We just want you to support the operation even if you don't join. To stop the terrorists from fleeing into your country and you will have your deal. Simple, isn't it? What do you think? Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. No, I'm not going to do it. It's just too. I know, because if we think logically, if we basically shut our borders and let this lunatic massacre the Bloods, because what's going to the Bloods? That's what will happen. It's an ethnic cleansing. There's no other way to put it. It's going to destabilise even more than it is. And you've got to think about the international cases, because at some point we're going to be going to Lesbia looking for a trade deal. So if he see they don't get on, and if he's seen us backing them, they might not give us some kind of trade deal. So I'm going to turn this guy down. No, I can't accept. That's unfortunate. I thought we could be friends, but he decided to leave Welland alone by itself. Such a shame. I'm sure a great little like Sol would have accepted this great offer without a doubt. My assistants will show you the way. Goodbye, Mr. Rayne. Nod and leave. I returned to immediately. I felt relieved to be back in Whole Sword. That didn't go well. Okay. Let's see what this is about. That's about the reform. That's another big speech. I tell you what, I'm going to leave that just there. That is going to be the next big event. Is we're getting to the business end of the reforms now. Anything else to look at here? Right. Oh dear me. One trade deal, one lack of a trade deal. Again, it's because I've played this twice. it's sometimes I know what's coming, so I'm trying to do it without a spoiler-free kind of gameplay. But it's again, yeah, it's difficult because I'm not trying to give spoilers away, but I've done this both ways, and neither one of them are pleasant, to be quite honest with you. But I just don't. This guy's a lunatic. Guy's a military dictator. And he's also in bed with. He's also getting to bed with Vagsland. And if we've got an alliance with Agnolia, and we've got a casing jets on our territory, we really don't want to be going to upsetting Lesbia and Arcadia, because that could be our best way to actually get more trade through. But anyway, enough of me waffling. So as soon as I stop waffling, I know it's time to stop. So again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that, because it helps to tell the lines, and I shall see you in the next one. Alright, thanks, bye.